Al Gore, the man edged out for the US presidency, is on the warpath again. Gore unveiled his main weapon in this battle, a big-budget documentary entitled An Inconvenient Truth.
We face a planetary emergency. The concentrations of global warming pollution have been rising at an unprecedented pace and have now given the planet a fever. Unless I've successfully tricked you, the United Nations and the other institutions that bought us decades of peace and prosperity. Unless I've successfully tricked you, if you want to go quickly, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. We have to go far, quickly. Unless I've successfully tricked you.
The climate crisis is the rare but all-important global or strategic conflict. Everything is affected.
Unless I've successfully tricked you.
For so many people at TED, there is deep pain that basically a design issue, at the end of the day, a design issue on a voting form, one bad design issue meant that your voice wasn't being heard like that in the last 8 years in a position where you could make these things come true. That hurts.
You have no idea.
Unless I've successfully tricked you.
What's needed really is a higher level of consciousness.
The debate is over. There's no longer any debate in the scientific community.
Unless I've successfully tricked you.
This is by far the most serious crisis civilization has ever faced. It is a genuine planetary emergency. The normal rules of politics should be set aside. When we have an emergency, we respond and do things that we would not otherwise think possible.
Unless I've successfully tricked you.
When Al Gore won his well-deserved Oscar for the Inconvenient Truth movie, I was thrilled, but I had urged him to make a second movie quickly. For those of you who saw An Inconvenient Truth, the most important slide in the Gore lecture is the last one, which shows here's where greenhouse gases are going if we don't do anything, here's where they could go, and then there are 6 different categories of things we can do to change the trajectory. We need a movie on those 6 categories, and all of you need to have it embedded in your brains. Perhaps most important of all, it is unsustainable because of climate change, resource depletion, and species destruction. When I think about the world I would like to leave to my daughter and the grandchildren I hope to have, it is a world that moves away from unequal, unstable, unsustainable interdependence to integrated communities, locally, nationally, and globally, that share the characteristics of all successful communities. A broadly shared, accessible set of opportunities, a shared sense of responsibility for the success of the common enterprise, and a genuine sense of belonging.
Help with the mass persuasion campaign that will start this spring. We have to change the minds of the American people, because presently the politicians do not have permission to do what needs to be done. And in our modern country, the role of logic and reason no longer includes mediating between wealth and power the way it once did. It's now repetition of short, hot-button, 30-second, 28-second television ads. We have to buy a lot of those ads. Those of you who are good at branding, I'd love to get your advice and help on how to say this in a way that connects with the most people. It is easier than you think. It really is. There are a lot of great investments that you can make. If you are investing in tar sands or shale oil, then you have a portfolio that is crammed with subprime carbon assets. How many people here serve on the board of directors of a corporation? Put a price on carbon. We need a CO2 tax. We have to have a unified view of how to go about this.
How are you saying in a free market where governments do not tell businesses how to run, we can somehow change this trend and throw it into reverse?
It's not an either-or approach. Governments can say, here are the ground rules, And those that are less responsible and want to cut corners, we're not going to allow you to do that.
Here are just a few of the investments that I personally think make sense. I have a stake in these. How many people here serve on the board of directors of a corporation? Once it's a closed system, you will have legal liability if you do not urge your CEO to get the maximum income from reducing and trading the carbon emissions that can be avoided. Support the idea of capping carbon dioxide emissions, global warming pollution, and trading it. If the future of all human civilization depended on me, what would I do? If you want to go quickly, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. We have to go far quickly. So we have to have a change in consciousness, a change in commitment, a new sense of urgency, a new appreciation for the privilege that we have of undertaking this challenge.
Al Gore, thank you so much for coming to TED.
Thank you very much, Chris. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Don't give yourselves to brutes, men who despise you, enslave you, who regiment your lives, tell you what to do, what to think, and what to feel, who drill you, diet you, treat you like cattle, use you as cannon fodder. Don't give yourselves to these unnatural men with machine minds and machine hearts. You are not machines. You are not cattle. You are men. You have the love of humanity in your hearts. You don't hate. Only the unloved hate. The unloved and the unnatural.